Are we ready to go, Noah? Welcome to the Wareham Planning Board meeting for Monday, September 9th, 2024, held in the multi-service room, or the multi-service center, room 520, and also on Zoom and Wareham. It's on the TV as well. I'm going to call the meeting to order, beginning with the roll call, starting to my left.
Mike Baptiste here.
Jane Gleason here.
Sam Corbett here.
Julie Moran here.
And Carl Schultz, chair, present. We have a full board. Preliminary business. Before we begin preliminary business with the minutes, I want to make a statement. I missed the last meeting. I am certifying under Massachusetts General Law, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 39, Section 23D, that I reviewed the meeting and the materials and certified to the clerk and the board as required. Jane, do you want to make a statement?
Yes, that I similarly have reviewed the meeting,
February 26th.
the video of the meeting and the materials that came in during that meeting for February 26th of this year, under the same chapter and verse.
Thank you. So we're recording those two things.
And the clerk has been notified.
Thank you. All right, moving on. We have minutes, excuse me, turn the page. Minutes for August 26th. Discussion? Discussion? You had a discussion.
In the minutes?
Yes. You wanted them numbered?
Oh, I apologize, yes. Procedural question. As the clerk, I would appreciate it if we could number the pages of the minutes. I think it makes it easier to keep, retain, and keep organized. So I'd appreciate if we could do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
No comments on it.
I'm looking for a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of August 26th, 26th.
Motion by Sam Corbett.
Second.
Second by Mike Baptiste. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous to accept. Okay, Josh. Oh, no, that's not Josh. I'm sorry, I got ahead. This is Peyton Estates. Is Mr. Teitelbaum here? Sorry, not Josh. Good evening, Ken. Hi, Ken. So we're going to discuss item 2 on the agenda, review. Oh, no, this was Josh. It's not Mr. Teitelbaum. I got ahead of myself. This is you.
Okay.
Fearing Hill. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're not ready for Mr. Teitelbaum. I thought it was. So we got an application.
Yes, and it's the same exact application you've received twice now. And what they're looking for is to, re-enter into the public record this application so that a full board can vote on it.
Okay. So our objective tonight is to certify the application is complete and schedule a public hearing. So discussion.
Question, this would be a question for Ken. Ken, as you know, we have new rules and regulations which became effective in February. Have you had an opportunity to review the application? Because obviously the section 3.0 I refer you to, a number of sections. Have you had a chance to review it to ensure that it is complete?
It is
Under the
complete.
regulations. By that I mean under the regulations.
The regulations that apply to this one were protected by a subdivision, a definitive subdivision plan that was filed 7 months after a preliminary plan. So it's good for 8 years. The protection for the existing zoning at the time, existing regulations at the time of the original application.
Is that for the subdivision, or is that for the,
Well, it applies to the land, but I didn't think that applied to the rules and regulations
Nor did I.
specifically. It applies to the zoning, I thought.
The zoning bylaw, that's correct.
Yeah, but Julie, I think, was
I'm
asking about
referring
updates to the rules and
Special permit
regulations.
site plan review, rules and regulations.
It conforms to the current rules and regulations, yes.
As a complete application.
As a complete application, that's correct.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I have a, yes. So we'll have the record reflect that.
Yeah, if we could.
Any other discussion? I have a couple of comments. All right, before we vote to schedule the public hearing. When we approved the withdrawal, we requested that the applicant enumerate the complete list and dated version numbers of the plan documents. While they're all in the record, the record is now very long and convoluted. It's been spread out over, I think, 4 or 5 years. So in order to facilitate the review, we're not asking to resubmit any of the plans, but just to enumerate what the current version and dates are. And then once he does that, and that was also a citizen's request, I think, previously. Josh, my recommendation is we work with them to get that, and as we move to Viewpoint, I think the only documents we should, this is my recommendation, focus on uploading to Viewpoint would be that set of documents that we're reviewing, so we know exactly what the plan set is. And then we retain all the comments and other filings, which we'll read in and will include by reference when we open the public hearing. The last time we did this, we read a statement that incorporated by reference all historical documents. But I think to simplify the process of moving to Viewpoint, I don't think we need to upload 5 years of history to Viewpoint. But if we upload this is my recommendation, and the board can comment, that we upload the complete set of plan documents that we're reviewing.
Yeah, so why don't we, how about the recommendation B, that you upload the most current and up-to-date plan information and application, and then we can upload a document that can tell people how to find the historical information from the town website.
Okay, but so we'll get the current plan set onto Viewpoint. So we've agreed, I talked to Josh, we're gonna use Viewpoint for this new application. But we're not gonna carry 5 years of history forward, I don't think.
Okay.
Unless the board thinks that's important.
I think
A
that's
lot of
I
it,
think some of the background information and the letters and
well, they're
stuff,
gonna,
those don't get overridden by something newer.
no, that's not what I'm only
You're
talking about.
referring to the plan set.
All of that other documentation will be
Agreed.
retained where it is today on the.
Okay,
Yep.
that was my understanding as well. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. The next item is for the planning office, for Ken. Sonia reported that there's approximately $14,000 remaining in the 53G account from the prior application. I want to confirm that we can use that for this application rather than requesting the applicant create and fund a new 53G account. Is that possible?
Yes, I've confirmed with the applicant that the money that's in the account will be used for further 53G account reviews.
Great, thank you. That solves that problem, which was one of the vote items. So based on that, that we have certified that we have a complete application, that we have certified that we have funds, that we request Mr. Cordero, who was not the engineer of record prior to this, to review the application, bring himself up to speed, and that's all I think he needs to do at the moment. He can review it for completeness, bring himself up to speed, because he will be, should this be approved, be the engineer who's doing the inspections. The other thing we need to confirm with the applicant, and I think there's been some emails on this, that we expect a new decommissioning bond estimate based on the new standard that the board is using, based on the NREL standard. So approximately $380 per kilowatt for solar DC and $50 per kilowatt for battery DC. And then just an item for the applicant to get ready. Prior application reviews, we did not focus on the battery storage. Since the last time we met with the applicant, the board has become much more aware of the issues of large-scale ESS and request the applicant that at one of the early meetings after we open the public hearing that he address the plans for battery storage at this site. Yes.
Bill?
May I ask a question on the sureties for solars?
Yes.
That's what you just speaking.
That was, yes.
How can you?
Yeah. Just identify yourself, please, Bill.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering. I just have a question relative to the methodology that you're employing to determine the surety for the solar. It's based on the kilowatt hours.
Yes. Go ahead.
Well, since the surety is required to restore a site back to some usable condition, how can that be based on a kilowatt hour generation of a facility when every site is different?
Okay, I can answer that, but I don't want to get in. I'll give you my answer, and then if you'd like, we can discuss it in a different forum, or I can add it to an agenda. The answer to the question is, for the 19 solar projects that we have received to date, we have construction estimates that ranged, were completely inconsistent and unreconcilable. Different items. I'm trying to answer your question. So I'm going to get to the answer to your question, and then whether it's, we can discuss it offline if you'd like. So we searched for a standard. Using state data, using a document from the state, and using from a federal data, we found a recommendation from NREL, and I can send you the publication. I can't do it quoted from the top of my head, that established a standard for decommissioning. We voted 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, to establish that standard as a way of creating a standard across applications. So that's how we got to the answer to your question. That was, and the way they, I'll tell you how they, so the answer to how we got to a per kilowatt hour, they generated should I say, a pro forma, construction, deconstruction, decommission, listed all the items, then did an average and established it that way. So if you read the document, you'll see they built it up as you're suggesting.
I understand exactly what the document entails, but I also understand the construction methodology and how it differs from company to company, and I don't see a relationship to us. I see.
Okay, I appreciate, but this is not the time to get into that discussion. This is really, I was just trying to tell the applicant that's what our expectation is.
That's fine with me. I mean, you know.
So I tried to answer your question. We needed a standard. We found a standard. We've been trying to employ a standard so we were consistent across applications. And it's just a bond.
No, I prepared a number of them myself. I know
Yes.
what the surety should entail and should include and what have you, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands it's based on, you know, what you have to take apart, not what is constructed in the ground, and how you have to restore the land.
Okay, I appreciate that. And our struggle was to find a standard so we had a consistent across applications.
Right.
And I'll be glad to talk to you offline about that.
No, I'm all set with it. I'm very good. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's how we came up with it. So I'm looking, according to our schedule, the application was received, I believe that, public hearing of, or the meeting of November 11th would give us time for reviews, published notice of public hearing, and we have town meeting in there, so there's one missing meeting night. So
Are we waiving the fee?
we can waive, I think that was already waived.
asked
We
for.
waived that
Okay,
the
good.
last time.
And that's the application fee we're waiving.
Right.
Right,
to be
yeah,
clear.
the notice fees, I think he's taking care of all that.
Yep, right.
So, November 11th, Josh? So we need to do the notices, that'll give Phil time to review, give us time to do the required notices, and of course, the 28th is town meeting, and we don't have a meeting that night. I don't think, Ken, do we need to vote on that, or that's just,
Just proceed.
You don't need to vote on that, it's just scheduling.
okay.
Right.
So, thank you.
So 11/11 is town meeting?
No, 28th is town meeting.
28, oh, 11/11 is the next one. Got it.
11/11 is the
Got it, is the
hearing.
next one.
All right, now, we got to item 3, which is Peyton Estates. Is Mr. Titlebaum available?
I have an individual iPhone who raised their hand for that specific application. I assume that's Mr. Titlebaum. I'd let them in, they just have to unmute.
Well, let's see who it is, and I'm sorry, I can't
Hello, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
speak up. I'm usually too loud.
Okay. Well, I'll
Is that Mr. Titlebaum?
It is.
All right, thank you. Give me a second, and I'll begin the discussion. So, we previously voted on a surety amount for Peyton Estate project. We made a recommendation to the Select Board and a form of the bond. I believe Town Council approved the form of the bond. Select Board accepted the form of the bond, and it's back to us. We now need to vote to release the covenant, implement the bond, and there's some discussion points before we do that. So, Mr. Titlebaum, do you want to comment before we begin deliberation?
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope we can wrap this up tonight. As you said, the Select Board voted, that was August 20th, 500, to approve the form of the bond and the amount, which means it will come back, which means it comes back to you, and that's why I'm here tonight. I know a couple of the board members have particular concerns about Mr. Churchill's sort of gentleman agreement with the neighbors to deal with the electrical issue. I do have some updates as to how that process is going. As you know, last year, he had a work order from Eversource. It was in the amount of about $5,000. He went to execute on that this past February, and Eversource said, no, because we've got the solar fields out there in between sort of you and the meter, if you will. We're not going to do it. So the new plan after that was to install 6 poles, clear the right-of-way, which I believe was 15 feet, across the front of some of these yards for a distance of about 700 feet. Eversource came back with a work order for that work for about $95,000. What I omitted last time in informing you what the amount was is that there were additional other costs to other people of about $15,000. So the projection for that project was $110,000. In the meantime, Mr. Churchill asked himself, why don't we just see if the solar company will move the meter? It took him 2 months to find out who to talk to at the solar company, because that had changed hands. The people had changed hands. And I believe that the board, or at least the office, is now in possession of the actual contact information with that solar company if they ever need to get in touch with them. So all of this has taken a ton of time. Dealing with public utilities is an absolute mess. It's frankly a legal specialty. If he had asked me to represent him with these with the utility, I would have said, I'm not your guy, find an expert. So he went and did it himself. I think he's probably qualified as an expert by now. He's put like 6 years into this. So the latest is the solar company appears amenable to doing this. We're waiting for another work order from Eversource, and that's the one we hope to execute upon. And in the meantime, the board has received a report from Mr. Cordero that upped the bond amount from what we had originally proposed, and we're fine with that. That's reflected in the documents you've had, I think, since August, early August. So at this point in time, we're looking for the board to vote to execute the performance secured by lender agreement, which is the surety on the bond. I should also report that there's a significant amount of work that's been done on the roads out there. And we pondered whether to come back and seek a lower bond amount. But at this point, all he has to do, as far as the road goes, is to put the top coat down. He doesn't want to do that until he's gotten the houses substantially built, because you don't want to run heavy equipment over the final tar. So that's where we are at this point in time. We're sticking with this performance secured by lender agreement, $237,997.94. So that's what we're asking the board to approve tonight, is the execution of those documents, the Form J and the performance secured by lender agreement.
Ken, have you prepared the documents that we need to sign?
We sent them to you in August. I think you had them for the August 12th meeting. I don't know if you have them in your packets.
Not for tonight, but
Not for tonight. Well,
I didn't get them in
these
the packet
prepared
for
so
the-
long ago. I think I want to change the month on them anyway because they say July. So I can certainly get you fresh documents, following the vote. That's not a problem.
all right. So if we agree and vote tonight, why don't you get the updated documents in and we can get them signed, assuming we vote to approve. Now the one discussion is I don't believe it's appropriate to condition the release of or the covenant really and secure the covenant on resolving the Squirrel Island pole issue. I believe Mr. Churchill has shown good faith at working the problem, and I believe, okay, well, you may not agree with me.
Go ahead.
I don't know that we can actually condition the release on his resolving that problem, because it may be beyond his ability to resolve the
Well,
problem.
he put it on the record as promising he would do it. So it is part of the record that he was,
He did, yes, but it's not part of the conditions of approval. And we could conceivably condition this agreement on that, but it's up, we need to decide on that.
okay.
So I guess that, again, pursuing that, if in fact, do you have a written agreement? You've contacted the solar company. Do you have a written agreement? Because my concern is deals can fall apart, agreements can fall apart.
It has already.
And if it falls apart, are you prepared to pay the $95,000 plus, looks like the $15,000?
And just for the record, the Squirrel Island Road is not part of the Peyton Estates
Agreed.
subdivision.
Right.
This was an open issue.
Let's call this a point of information.
Yes, yes.
If you could.
So, Mr. Titlebaum, can you answer the question?
Yeah. Well, the solar company they're waiting to see what the work order is. And so they haven't, nobody's put pen to paper yet. I could certainly forward, there's emails I could read into the record if you want, showing what's going on. But that's what's actually going on here. It's going to be sort of a three-party agreement, but since we don't know what the cost is yet, we don't have the executed agreement.
There's nothing binding.
No. There hasn't been anything binding since this problem started.
Mr. Chair, I believe one of the representatives of the project wants to comment as well. He's in the lobby here in the Zoom. John, if you could promote Chris Smith.
And who is that?
Chris Smith?
Yes, okay.
He's one of the principals of the Dos Amigos Realty LLC.
All right, so let Mr. Smith in. Ask him to identify himself, and if he's going to give testimony, I need to swear him in.
He's in, he just has to unmute.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's not a public hearing, but I don't know how you want to proceed otherwise.
If he's going to make a statement, I'd like to swear him in, if he's not a lawyer.
You don't trust us to tell the truth anyway, right?
I was advised that even if you swore, it wouldn't be any good. So, Mr. Smith?
He's currently muted.
You're scared.
He's muted. We've muted him.
Mr. Smith?
You scared him.
Still muted.
Mr. Smith, if you want to make comments, you have to unmute yourself. And if you don't want to make comments, please let us know so we can continue forward.
Okay,
Move on.
we'll move forward. If he gets back in touch with us before we move on from this, we'll... So any discussion, I need a motion to move forward on establishing the performance secured by lender agreement. Do you have comments, Sam?
Okay, it's saying that Chris Smith has left, is what I see. That popped up on my screen, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I'm looking for, is there any more discussion? We've got the amount, the select board has approved the amount. I'm looking for a motion to move forward.
I think we need a little bit more discussion here, because I think one or two more board members might have something to say.
Well, that's why,
I don't feel comfortable with the deal. We've got, well, it fell apart twice.
Right.
Been promised 3 times, and the people still don't have their polls yet. That's part of
If I,
part
Mr.
of our
Chairman,
job.
It's a great proposal, and that's all it is. And we've had great proposals already that have fallen apart. And we promised the people, and they promised us, so I'm not comfortable going forward.
then can you make a motion that conditions the release
No.
of the performance conditioned on, or you're not, you don't want to do that? No. Okay. So
Mr. Chair,
do I have, I'm sorry,
Mr. Chair, if I could just interject for a minute.
who is speaking?
This is Attorney Titlebaum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the big disconnect here is what took place earlier under a prior application when it was denied because there wasn't a work order in place. I've spoken with Director Buckland, and I believe he discussed last time the meaning of a legal case from the SJC that basically controls this sort of thing. And it related to a large subdivision in Falmouth. Developer wanted 400 lots, something big. This was back in the 70s or 80s. And the planning board said, well, if you guys go ahead and build this, it's going to overburden the public ways that your development is off of. And it's going to create problems from the neighborhood. And I can't remember if they voted to deny the application or if they approved such conditions that the developer was unhappy with them, shall we say, and appealed. Either way, there was an appeal by the developer, and the SJC basically held that if your project is going to screw up public infrastructure or other infrastructure for somebody else, then yes, you can make them do work outside of the project area. But that's not what's really going on here. This is a 2-lot subdivision. We're not overburdening the existing electrical situation. The electricity actually is coming in from a totally different source than what Mr. Churchill is trying to achieve for the neighborhood here. So effectively, he's trying to do this as a courtesy. And I've discussed this with Director Buckland, and perhaps he wants to weigh in. But, you know, as he told you the last time, he believed that it should be voted for because we had met all of the conditions in the permits that were issued.
Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum. If I don't have a motion, or,
Ken, do you want to weigh in
no,
on
I
this?
don't want Ken to
briefly?
weigh in. Go ahead, Ken.
Do you have any comments?
Thank you. It looks like Chris Smith has raised his hand as well, too.
Are you going to make comment or not, Ken?
Only that the decision did not condition the approval of the subdivision based on the public takeover of the telephone poles, the electrical poles. And yeah, because I guess telephone isn't used anymore.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, if you could introduce yourself.
Chris Smith, 12 Fellowship Circle. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I could not get myself unmuted. It was quite a challenge. Sorry about that. So the comment
Wait,
just
excuse me. Before you begin, can you state your position, and then would you, I want to swear you in?
Sure. Dos Amigos, partner of the LLC.
Thank you. Do you swear that any testimony you're about to give is the truth and the whole truth?
That is true. Yes, I do swear.
Thank you. So please move forward. You can make your comments. Thank you.
So the history that Peter was trying to explain, I think he did it pretty accurately, but when prior to us even developing Peyton Estates, this was a couple of the prior lots, John and one of the neighbors basically had a gentleman's agreement that we would work to get these poles to be public poles. We would assist in that. John had the connections through a person at Eversource. So we agreed to assist in that. Really, John did. And John did a ton of work to get us to where we were prior to the acceptance of Peyton Estates. We had the work order. The total cost of that work order, including the taking of the poles, was in the area of about $5,000. At $5,000, we had no problem paying that for the neighbors. It was a benefit that would have gone to our subdivision. So that agreement was in place. 11 months later, we assumed those poles were taken. Everybody assumed those poles were taken. 11 months later, Eversource decides to tell us, oh, and they did it by canceling and returning our check. There was really no notification of, they just issued us a check and canceled our agreement. Generally, when you get that, you have to sign documents. That's how Eversource works. They tell you what they're going to do. So they reimbursed our $5,000 via a check, and that was our notification that that agreement was canceled. Hence, a new work order comes out, and to accomplish that work order by putting 5 new poles in is going to cost in the neighborhood of $115,000. We would have never agreed to pay $115,000 on a 2-lot subdivision. But we thought we fulfilled everything we were supposed to do. 11 months later, we find out that we didn't. So we're tirelessly working towards coming up with a solution for this neighborhood at our expense. Not that we were required to do it, but that we still are working towards this for this neighborhood. I've met, I email them weekly. I email all the neighbors weekly. I update them with the progress. And, we haven't quit on this. Hundreds of hours have gone into this. And this was a gentleman's agreement. If once they said it was $115,000, we could have stopped and looked and just said, we'll throw our hands up at it, but we didn't. And we continue to work towards this. But stopping our project on something that Eversource could tell us 6 months from now that they don't like it, because they've already done it to us once. They probably did it. They may have done it with that 5-pole design. We don't know until it's finished, because it's tough how they operate. So that's where we're at. I don't know if that was relayed clearly to this board. So I just wanted to give my comment on that.
Thank you. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just jump in briefly.
Thank you. At this point, I think we've heard all the testimony we need at this point. Are we going to get a motion for the performance secured by lender agreement or not? Is anyone willing to make a motion?
No.
All right. So without a motion or a second, I can't act on this item. So we will need to table this, and I'm not sure what we can do to bring this forward.
A receipt that the poles are in place and they're paid for.
Wasn't an agreement.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to table this discussion now and defer to discussions with the planning office about how we move this item forward. Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum. I understand your frustration. I'm not sure what I can tell you at the moment, other than we will continue to work to resolve this issue.
I hope you can understand our frustration. I know it's a gentleman's agreement. I know it's not part of the package, but we were guaranteed by the developer that that would be taken care of. That was part of what it impacted my impression on how I was going to vote. And all I'm trying to do is follow through what we promised to do for the people.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's position. We can't act tonight. Thank you. Moving on to the agenda.
How can they do that?
Excuse me, who was that?
Whoever's in the background.
It was an accident.
There's an accident.
Okay.
That's what's wrong in this town. Everybody thinks they're privileged. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
just
let's
getting a
move
little
beyond.
frustrated.
The next item is a discussion and possible vote on the need to establish a modification to the site plan review special permit for 59 Main Street. Some background. First, I want to note that there was an error in condition 21 of the original approval, 39-21, which referenced a design document which was, I think, outdated. I think that's the best.
Understand you, please don't mumble and speak up.
I'm sorry?
Cannot understand you, speak up a little louder.
I'm trying. I will. So, again, we're discussing a possible vote on the need for a modification to the 3921 or 2323, the Harborside Restaurant on Main Street. Do we need a modification? So, some of the facts. There was an error in the original condition, number 21 of the original approval, which referred to a document that I believe was outdated. There has been some work done to address the requirement that it was dealing with, which was the placement of lighted, flashing crosswalk signs. We need to establish whether that was sufficient to meet the requirement, or do we need, so this is all about reasons for a modification. The variance, which was granted by the zoning board, requires a modification to the site plan special permit. And that was established back in June, that was a requirement. The revised landscape plan, which is being proposed, is a modification to the site plan review special permit. There's some other changes that have either happened or are planned for happening, the fence, the berm, some other things that in Mr. Madden's letter, which may require a change or a modification to the special permit. And that's what we're here tonight to determine. There was also a letter in, a note in Mr. Madden's letter of, it was the 26th, I believe, of August, that made reference to the Connex box. My question about that is, I inferred from that letter that there was a plan to install the Connex box. My understanding of the June 28th, 2022 conditions of approval for the minor modification prohibited any other buildings from being constructed beyond the restaurant and the pavilion. So I want clarification on that. And so that's the discussion. and I want the determination of, do we need to request a modification, either minor or major, to deal with these items? Mr. Buckland, do you want to comment?
Yes, I do want to comment. I think most of the items on there are actually minor modifications of a very large project, and so could be acted on tonight. But I think one of the items, or a couple of the items, would require a modification of the plan, and so I would of the landscape plan, and so I would suggest that the board hold a bond for the landscape work, and use that as a surety for further changes that might take place in the landscape plan.
So a minor modification requires a determination that these modifications are minor, and that requires a vote of the board. Does a minor modification require an application?
No, it doesn't. It just requires a notification to the board of the minor modification request.
Okay, all right, so we need to make a determination if this is in fact minor. What about condition 21 of the original approval? How do we fix that?
That apparently was put in by an assistant town planner at the time, and it doesn't. Our search through the records finds that it doesn't even apply to phase 2. Doesn't even apply to the section of Main Street, even closest to the crosswalk closest to the site.
Yes.
It was apparently something that the assistant town planner saw and thought it was a good idea to put it in to the conditions.
Excuse me. One of the clear conditions that we voted on was that the crosswalks be labeled and marked. And I thought that condition addressed that need. So do we need to clarify that?
I think you need to amend the decision to take out that condition of phase 2, which doesn't apply to the subject site.
Okay, so those are actions we all need to vote on and take to clear up the record. But has work, excuse me, I'll ask Mr. Warren in a minute. So we need to amend the decision to take out condition 39 or 21 of 3921. That's an action.
Correct.
We need to decide or make a determination that the variance and other changes noted in Mr. Madden's letter represent minor changes to the plan. Mr. Madden, do you have a comment?
I have several, yes, absolutely.
All right, I'll give you a chance to comment in a moment. And then we need to, what was the other thing? We need to establish a, right, and yes, and a modification of the plan for landscape and establish a bond for that. Now, the process for establishing a bond is the applicant needs to present a form of surety in the amount they've agreed to. We need to make a recommendation to the select board. Select board needs to accept the form of surety, and then we need to come back and do a release.
It isn't necessary to go through the Board of Selectmen if it's cash that is put up for the bond.
Can you tell me where it says that in the bylaw?
It says the form of surety.
But it doesn't talk to the process. The process has always been, we are required to go to the select board. And I don't see any deviation documented in the process that says cash changes that process. So I'm just asking for where it says that.
Why
That's
wouldn't
been
it?
under precedent. We haven't had a cash bond in forever.
So we don't have precedent.
Not recent precedent, no.
All right, so the first, I think we could take care of simply the first item.
Right.
I'm looking for a motion to amend the conditions of approval for 3921 by removing condition 21,
So moved.
which referred to a document.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Julie Moran, aye.
Okay. We'll have to take up the bond in a minute.
Minor modification.
But before we discuss minor modification, Mr. Madden, do you want to make any comments that will affect or contribute to that decision? And I will ask you to swear in, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth and the whole truth?
I swear it is.
Thank you.
I was asked, going back, I think in August, latter part of August, August 26th, the letter that,
Of this year,
pardon me?
August 26th this year.
Yes, the letter you're making reference to?
Yes.
That was, I was asked by the building commissioner to provide an as-built plan
Correct.
and to state the deviations on that as-built plan.
Right.
That's what this letter represents.
Okay, there is a requirement in your conditions for this project from the planning board to submit an as-built plan as well.
And we submitted a copy of it to the planning board and
Yes.
a copy of this
Okay.
letter also. But I'm just explaining what precipitated me preparing this letter.
Okay.
It wasn't because I was planning to submit it directly to the planning board and ask for completion of the project. I was doing it for another purpose, and I extended the courtesy of providing this documentation to the planning board of our findings on that. So that's what that letter
Was.
is all about.
Okay, thank you.
Because it wasn't intended to be used for anything other than that purpose.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And that was pretty much it.
Okay, great. So I have a question for Mr. Warren. I'll get back to you in a second. So we still need to make a determination of you did provide information in that letter about some changes that we became aware of. The landscape plan, you testified about your negotiations with the landing, forget the name of the project adjacent. Yes, yeah, next door, the berm,
I can't understand you. Slow down and talk clearly, please.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
There were changes noted in your letter. The berm, there's a need to change the berm. There's a need to change the landscape plan. There is a need to establish a fence between the landing and the project at this site. Those represent changes. We need to make a determination if they're major or minor and move forward.
We weren't presenting these as changes. We were presenting this as information as to the status of the project, the way it is as of that date of August 26th.
Okay, so you're not going to make those changes?
I didn't say that.
Okay, so if you're going to make the changes, let's get an approval of the plan and move forward.
Well, when we submit a plan for review by the planning board, then we're intending to make some changes. Until that time comes, I believe the plan that we're operating under right now is the approved.
Fine, then you don't want it. I misinterpreted the purpose of that letter. If there's no need to discuss minor modification tonight for those changes, fine. The variance for the dumpster does constitute a change, and that does require a change to the plan.
Well, I think the first step to request to come before the planning board and to ask their determination as to whether or not that change would be considered significant or not.
And that's what I asked Mr. Buckland, and if you're not prepared to do that, we won't discuss that tonight.
Well, I didn't find out about the meeting until today. I'm pretty well prepared, though. I did all the work on the plan. I've represented Mr. Warren.
I didn't expect you to need to be here. All I thought we were going to do was decide if we needed to ask you for a modification.
Okay.
So I didn't expect you to be here. This was I have been asking since the beginning of June if the variance required a change. Not of you. I never spoke to either of you. This was the Director of Planning, the Zoning Enforcement Officer, and the Chair of the ZBA. We had a meeting. We established that the variance, if granted, would constitute a change and requiring a modification. That was in June. I have sent an email every other week to those three individuals.
You sent me an email?
I didn't say, I'm supposed to...
I just want to get clear with you.
Very clear, I've never communicated with the applicant on this issue at all.
You seem to know a lot about me. Continue on.
Excuse me?
Continue on.
You say I know a lot about you? I didn't understand that comment.
Really?
I didn't.
Okay. I withdraw that comment.
My communication was with the town administration, the Director of Planning, the Zoning Enforcement Officer, and the Chair of the Zoning, to determine, in my opinion, that the variance triggered the need for a modification to the site plan review special permit, which I believe it does.
It does. It does.
And all I've been trying to do was get that answered.
So wouldn't we really be coming before you to see if that change was a substantial enough change to require modification to the...
Yes, major or minor, which is my first question to Mr.
Because
Buckland.
there was always a dumpster enclosure.
Yes, the variance constitutes a change, which may be major or minor.
And the dumpster enclosure is right behind the berm that you've got to climb over to get to with the trash.
Yes.
And none of us caught it. And by the time we caught it, a lot had been done.
Thank you. Yes, I'm trying to determine procedurally how to move forward. So if we don't want to discuss the modification tonight for the variance, we don't have to.
We need to.
Well, I'd prefer to discuss whatever. I'm just, it almost sounds as though no one understood that there was a dumpster proposed originally with the project.
No, there absolutely was, and you came before us and we discussed changes and moving it, all fully aware of that history. The key issue was the variance triggered the need for a modification, in my opinion. And that's what I've been trying to get clear with the town since the beginning of June.
So it was the variance was for the location within a setback?
Right. The variance was, you went through the proper process?
No, I know.
Yeah,
But
I don't have
I'm
any
just-
question with that.
I'm just saying the thing that changed with the dumpster is the size of the dumpster.
Right.
Enclosure.
And all that did was triggered the need for the discussion. And as you said, a determination needed to be made, major or minor, and that didn't happen yet.
Okay, well, we would prefer to discuss it. I just didn't submit to the planning board a request to come before you to discuss that change, but we're happy to discuss it tonight.
Okay, I don't know.
If you're willing.
I don't know,
to
Ken, does that require a public hearing or not?
Well,
I'm just trying to get the process down.
No, it doesn't require a public hearing to come and ask for modification of changes in the plan if they're considered minor in scope.
Okay, so that one item we can discuss if you'd like tonight, and the board can make a
We
determination.
make a motion to accept the minor modification and move forward with that.
Okay, we still have to then deal with the landscape plan.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion that makes a determination that the variance for the dumpster represents a minor modification to the site plan review special permit?
So moved. I agree.
Second.
Second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Julie Moran, aye?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, so we've taken care of that. So we took care of the problem with the condition on the original approval. We took care of the modification to the plan for the dumpster. I have a question for Mr. Warren. Regarding what we were trying to address with condition 21 in the original plan was marking the crosswalks. I understand that you've taken steps to mark some is that correct?
We put lights on it. The lights are working. There's yellow markings there already. So what do? Repaint those same yellow markings?
I'm sorry.
I said the light has, the crosswalk is lighted.
There's flashing.
Flashes.
Yes.
There's already a yellow crosswalk there. So it was suggested that possibly we could recoat that yellow when the time comes. It really doesn't need it now. We were in the painting business for 50 years, so I think we're qualified. So that's where the status is of that.
Okay. So,
And if you want to paint it, I'll paint it tomorrow.
no,
Here to please.
so the original, my understanding of the condition 21, which we removed, was to address that very issue. Do we feel that the steps that Mr. Warren has outlined meet the original
Yes.
condition? So I'm looking for a motion that says that we accept the work that was done.
In lieu of
the-
condition 21,
In support, yeah, in lieu of that.
So moved.
furtherance of it, yes.
But just so you
Second.
know, we're donating another one that will talk to that one. So if you're crossing across to Quest Way, we're paying for that also.
Thank you.
Dave Menard is ordering it now.
Great.
Okay.
Like I say, we're here to help, not to fog the issue.
Motion,
I made a
second?
A
motion.
motion, I'm looking for a second.
Second, I guess? I thought I...
There you go.
A motion by Mr. Corbett, second by Ms. Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Julie Moran, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. That issue is now resolved. Dumpster. So what do we do about the landscape plan? So, Mr. Buckland, Mr. Cordero provided a schedule of values. Ms. Gleason, I think there was some discussion at the last meeting. There was an intent to have it on the 29th to resolve this issue. We're unable to do that. I'm not sure. Are we able to resolve this issue tonight, Ken, or do we need more information on the landscape plan?
Well, the question of the landscape plan is when is it going to be completed versus when are they going to open up? If the intent is to open up before the changes in the landscape plan are done, before the landscape plan is finished,
Then there's no need for a bond if you're going to be done before you open.
Well, we're 95% done now, but let's talk about that a little further. All along, we're going to put this beautiful berm out on the top of the road. We're going to plant 100-foot tall trees right underneath the power line and right over National Grid's gas line. National Grid said to say to you guys, and I'm going to quote them, Danny, you buy the trees and let their lawyers fight us for the next 10 years trying to get that approved, to dig up over their gas lines and put those in. Let me finish.
I know.
So then I called Mr. Madden, who's been greatly helpful to me, and I said, Bill, I bought $8,000 worth of bushes and flowers and stuff. Where am I going to put them? Bill said, put them where they're supposed to go. I said, I can't, Bill. Bill said, why not? I said, there's no land out there, Bill. Bill said, of course there is. You got 14 feet over here and 10 feet over there and 11 feet over here. I said, Bill, come down and show me this land. You guys paved over it in 1978. You didn't buy it. You didn't eminent domain it. You
excuse me,
stole it.
You guys being the town?
Not you guys. The guys that did it are all dead and gone.
Oh, okay.
But the pavement goes right up to my curb. Mike, the game warden, broke his ditch witch when he went to put the pipe in because 2 feet down in the dirt, right on my property line, there's a pavement that was buried in 1978. Claude Poyant said, oh yeah, this used to be a real narrow road till they took all that land. You just didn't buy it. I've had the attorneys looking for it. It was never sold. It was never taken into the domain. So I got a whole bunch of bushes for a discount price. But here's the point. We've planted everything out there we can plant. We've done what we can do. We can do more. That's on Main Street, all right? Now let's talk about the berm between me and British Landings.
Thank you, that's what I was trying to
There is the
do.
problem. There is the problem. I didn't catch it, Mac didn't catch it. Mac is gone now, but Mac was a great engineer, and he was there every week on payroll. None of us caught it. By the time we caught it, the berm is called to be raised 3 feet above grade. So when you're standing there, and Ken was out there and so was Josh, it's this high, it's 11 feet across at the base. That puts it 4 feet off our building, 2 feet off British Landings. Bill did a lot of engineering and a lot of designing to take all the water around the back of that property and bring it all the way around to the front. It cost me a bloody fortune to do that, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I did that. So it would satisfy the runoff on the hill, all my neighbors on the hill, the road on the hill, the road itself, because none of the drains work. The thing Bill designed is incredible. It captures all that water and takes care of it. The only problem is I'm the guy that paid the $1 million to do it, and I'm glad to do that. But here's the point. The berm in the back, the way it's shaped and the way it's designed, it's going to kick more water on British Landings than they've ever seen. British Landings has agreed to let me go move closer to them, and I agreed to rework their hill to take that pressure off for them. That's a lot of work, and that's also a lot of money. But I agreed to do that. But now with this berm, it makes no difference. It'll be worse than ever.
Okay, so you need to redesign the plan, is what you're saying.
To go away. Here's what we need to do if we care about the community and we care about our neighbors, and I do care about my neighbors. If we don't leave it the way it is now and keep the thing, the way it was designed by Bill originally, and I want to be clear about this, Bill did not do that plan. That was done by another firm that did not come. And if they come, they wouldn't have done it. They want 100-foot trees where we've already got 100-foot trees.
Okay, all I'm trying to determine, you need to submit a new plan. Is that what you're planning to do?
What we need to do.
Yes, so that plan will require, is that correct, or modify, and when you're ready, you'll...
Still a moderate change. Either way, I could do it in a day. Either way it goes.
In either case...
This way or the wrong way.
Right, you're going to do it the right way. Do it the right way. All I'm trying to determine is, do we require a change to the plan? The answer is yes. You'll make a request, and we'll make a determination if it's major or minor. Is that correct?
That's correct. But here's the next question, and this is the big question. If this is going to drag out for 2 weeks, tell me now, because I have to sign a contract for Senator Pacheco's retirement there with the DNC. It's a massive deal. I need to know if it's going to drag out. Tell me now. We can stop talking. I'll go home and eat supper, and tomorrow I'll tell the DNC that ain't happening, and we don't got to worry about nothing anymore.
I can't tell you when you can submit a new plan for the modification.
So where does that put us?
That puts us...
Weren't we talking about a bond in lieu of putting the landscape in place?
But then the bond will take 6 weeks.
Cash bond won't.
I believe it will.
Wait a minute. Last Monday night, we were here, and we were all going to meet there on a Thursday. Mike said 24,000. I said 35,000. Let me finish. The next morning, we said, who do we write the bond out to? Who do we write the check out to? Well, we're not sure. Okay, fine. I said, okay, let us know. I get a call back. We don't really think that's really enough. We talked to the engineer. I said, okay, what do you want, 50,000? Yeah, that's...
I followed all that. I know that happened.
I don't think you do.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
I'd like to finish saying this. So now I say, tell me who I write the $50,000 bond check out to. We'll get back to you. Now we're running out of time because you guys are going to be there at 3 o'clock. I paid guys to work all through the weekend to do everything. There's not a damn thing left to do down there, right? Except sit down there tonight and give people their money back because there's not a party for Alan Slavin. All right? And I got people down there doing that right now.
Excuse me. You're putting your schedule for opening on the planning board. That's inappropriate. That's inappropriate. The process for approvals, we're not making this up.
I agree totally. It's inappropriate. But it's also inappropriate to say, we're going to come on Thursday and we're going to settle this. Now I'm at Rockland Trust. I call back and say, what are we doing? That might not be enough. I say, how about 100,000? That's not enough. I bonded Swiss Beach with cash. So don't tell me it takes 6 weeks because it took 2 days.
You didn't bond that through the planning board. My understanding of the process, and I'm not making this up, this is the process we've been following since I've been on the planning board. If it's a project that we're bonding, we establish with you the amount, which, let me finish now. We established with you the amount, which apparently still seems unsettled, but let's set that aside. We recommend to the select board the form and the amount of the bond. They have to approve. Mr. Buckland says they don't have to approve cash bond. I can't find, that's the first I've ever heard of that. Maybe it's true. And if he could tell me it's true, then great. But the process has always been, we agree with you on the amount and the form. We
So
recommend...
what's the amount? 5,000, 10,000?
Wait,
There's nothing left to do there.
Excuse me, I just want to get the process down. I don't know what the amount is at the moment. I'll come back to that. We recommend to the select board, they have to approve the form of surety. Once they approve the form of surety, then we establish the covenant. Comes back to us. So that's one meeting for us to establish the amount. Goes to them whenever they schedule it. Then it comes back to us, and we deal with it immediately. As you heard tonight, we were attempted to use that exact same process with another project. It's always the process we followed.
So who will determine that amount? The engineering firm that was sitting in between me and Bill here last week was going to have all this information to me by 3 o'clock the next day. I've not seen him or heard of him. I've never did. Bill, have you seen or heard from him?
Who?
That engineer that sat here and said we'd have all of it the next day.
He did submit a schedule of values the next day. So we have a schedule of...
Submit them to us. We don't have
I
them.
didn't get it the next day, but
You have it.
We did get it.
Okay, so the schedule of values is the vehicle that we use to negotiate with you and establish the amount.
Do you have that with you now? We can discuss that? So I don't have it. Because we might be able to check a lot of boxes off real quick.
Hey, Danny.
You've got it, Sam?
I have it online.
I have it online as well.
Carl, one,
I honest to God, I can't see this. I really can't.
take my word for it, I'll give you the number, 92,000 and change.
It was 92,921.96.
93,000.
93,000.
And what are the things he's wanting to know on, so I can say what's done and what's not done?
Yes, normally, we establish the schedule of values, and then we would release...
But I'm saying, what's the fence, what's the stairs, what were the things that were on the list to finish? I can't read this.
Can you...
Hang on,
Okay.
I gotta fire it back up, so I shut it off.
Carl, I take issue with the fact this is not a bond, this is cash. And I know it's a...
I'm going to not use the word bond, I'm going to change to the word surety. It's a form of surety.
We're gonna say certified check.
Sure, it's still the form of surety. And I believe the select board has to accept the form of surety.
Right. And
Even
it's
if
an
cash.
agreement, it's not just a check. There's an
it's an-
agreement which you will want to discuss how it's released, under what terms it's released. So that's really the
And
form
all,
that we're talking
and
about.
Can you see it, Bill?
Well, it was 93, I just recall it was $93,000.
he's
when I
got a,
talked-
it's in front of him.
Yeah, no,
So, yeah.
I'm looking for my copy of that document. I thought I had it with me, but apparently I don't.
You want one right now, Bill?
We can make copies.
There you go.
It's right there, yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Your copy.
Can you enlarge that, Josh? Make it bigger?
Yeah, what do you want to look at first? So this is just the Phil's breakdown. It talks about sidewalk, landscaping, roadway, and other miscellaneous. And then as I scroll to the right, it gives you values.
And those values were all derived from Mass dot weighted averages for most things. It's just.
Which is how we
relatively
normally
standard
work
way
together.
of
But this is
developing
not a
the
public
bond
works
amount.
job, this is private property.
But the bond is for the town to be able to complete the work, and the town would have to do it as a public project,
If you
If-
didn't do it.
Okay,
which is the whole point of the bond.
I don't care if you believe me or you don't believe me. I cannot read these screens. So someone read that to me line by line, and I'll tell you what we've got done.
It doesn't matter at this point what you've got done. So well, it does. If it matters to you, then we have to go through the whole process and reestablish the schedule of values. So let me, one more process thing, and then I'll let you respond. Normally what happens is we established a bond, or excuse me, I'm not going to use the word bond.
Thank you.
Surety amount.
Surety amount. Surety amount. Often it is a bond. In this case, it's not a bond. We established a surety amount. We get it in place. And then as you complete work, you submit a request, and we release funds line item by line item as you complete the work.
So you can't tell me what those line items are?
Yes, we can. Does somebody,
Yeah, I mean,
Josh, can you just read them to him?
Okay, I'll read them if you want me to read them.
Please, Bill, I can't
The
do
first
it.
item is the cement concrete sidewalks, and there's two elements of work there. One is the 6-inch
Yeah,
gravel
it's
base.
the blue light, that's what gets me. My eyes are man-made, seriously. I can show you the pictures. And I have real trouble with the light.
It's a little bit larger than,
So what sidewalk needs to work?
These are the sidewalks that are shown around the Connex box that were part
There'll
of
be
that-
no Connex
that
box.
are on the plan.
That's gone. So go ahead.
Just so everyone knows what those elements of work.
Yes, right now, this is the schedule of values we're working on.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what it is. They said there's, those item numbers, those are MassDOT item numbers. Those are item numbers that don't mean anything to anybody other than MassDOT. They're helpful to us now as we extend over to the right, Josh, just a
they're
little.
actually off the screen on that. I blew it up so that those numbers are missing from the screen.
Okay.
So there's 5 cubic yards of gravel required. The unit price for MassDOT is $80 a yard. It's 12 yards total, $960. There's 9 square yards of concrete sidewalk proposed at $1,062.50 per square yard. That translates to $95.62.50 for that value of the work. So the sidewalk is about a $10,000 item for the sidewalk.
And that's for the Connex box?
That's for the Connex
Which we're
box.
not doing because we lost the parking deal with Toby. So
Right.
there'll be no more on that site.
Great, which goes back to the other item I raised about the COA, so we don't have to worry about that.
What's the next one, Bill?
Fine grading and compacting, and that's associated with topsoil and material for the planting beds. So you go to the square yardage, it's $12.50 a square yards. They estimate 675 square yards, 68.75 and change.
Is that for the lawn, or is that for preparing for the Connex box?
That's,
Finish
that's
grading and
for all the-
compacting.
That's for the fine grading and the compacting of the site that's not yet done. So that would be the landscape areas.
Well, that's, the only thing left is down where Mike said he will have that totally done by next week. We were waiting because we wanted to leave it as sand and gravel and have a fire pit out there because we had talked that, and that was approved by Historic. And we were going to do that, and then it come back to be, well, it says grass, and if you don't do grass, you'll be running around with these boards for the next 7 months. So I don't want to do that no more. I'm quite tired of it. I'm sure you are too. So
All we're trying to do is establish, your reasonings are fine, but this is the basis that I believe you provided a lot of this input, is that correct?
This right here?
Yes.
No, that was all by Allen and
Oh, it was
Major. That
all-
was all by
Phil, okay.
Based on their site.
Allen and Major that prepared
Okay,
that.
so anyway, this was the basis that we're using. If you want to go back,
Well, I have a quote from Mike to finish that for $6,000. He said it'll be done this week. He's got the sprinkling in already. He's just got to wait for
then if you don't want to establish the surety amount, we don't have to do it tonight. I don't know, I'm not sure what you're, excuse me, I'm not sure what you're asking me to do. So you can either proceed as planned, and we don't have to discuss the modifications yet. We don't have to establish a surety, and then you can't get a COA from the planning office, or not the planning, the building office, until the project is complete.
So,
By establishing a surety, that's a way in your...
okay, I understand. So now then, you're telling me I can't give you $100,000 in cash tomorrow. You want to hold out 5 or 6 weeks to get a bond? If that's...
No, I said surety. I misspoke when I used the word bond.
Well, surety. What's a better surety than cash?
But it is a surety. My understanding of the process is the select board needs to approve the form of surety.
It's a surety agreement,
Right.
which is for
Which
your
they can
benefit
do
as well.
Tuesday.
Right.
What's that?
They could do it Tuesday.
All right, here's the only thing I'm trying to accomplish. If I have to cancel, Alan Slavin's party's out in the wind, gone, right? Now, if I have to cancel the DNC, that's gone. I arranged an unbelievable deal for the town with National Grid. That's gone. So I just want to know if this is going to drag out for 2 weeks, and as far as I'm concerned, it can drag out for 2 years.
Is that a threat?
It's not a threat at all.
I don't
I'm just saying,
understand,
these are
Mr.
critical
Warren,
points.
why you're making this the planning board's problem.
Because when I walked in, you made it the planning board's problem.
How did I make it the planning board's problem?
First of all, to everybody in here, I want you to know something. This is very out of character for me. I'm a true gentleman. I sat out in that chair and heard that man say, Derek Sullivan been covering for me for years.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Okay, guys, this is not
I
going to get...
did not, and this is not the appropriate place.
Calm down, we don't have to have it.
I never said that.
You didn't?
I did not.
Did you use the F word a couple times with my name involved?
No, I said,
And you're lying.
I was complaining that the select chair called me an asshole.
Okay,
What does that have to do with Danny Warren?
That was what I was commenting on. So
You
we
said
need to...
that Danny Warren, he's been covering for him for years.
not
I
true, Danny.
did not say that.
it's not true, Danny.
Okay.
Wait, let's get beyond that. It's not
Need
true.
to stop now.
Okay, stop
I
that.
did not
Carl,
say that.
Let's drop that for now.
Yep. Okay.
I make a motion, we accept $93,000 as a security, not a bond.
A surety.
Yeah,
As a surety amount?
yes.
$93,000 cash.
$93,000
Make it an even
as a
hundred.
surety, just
The surety
not going to
agreement,
call it cash, not going to call it a
and
bond.
the surety agreement form to be approved by the select board, which is the process.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, these problems can be avoided if people don't make deals upstairs. That's the biggest problem we got in this town. It's been happening for 40
I
years.
don't make no deals upstairs.
I'm not talking you, I'm talking the whole town in general.
All right.
Big deals
Okay,
are-
Mike,
We have a motion and a second.
Thing. Okay, go ahead.
let's try to get it done. Any discussion?
None.
None.
A vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
I abstain.
okay. That's a done deal, in my opinion,
Now we have to make the recommendation
to
to
the
the
Board of
select
Selectmen.
board.
We can do
Can the-
it, we
can
can
the
do it
clerk-
immediately. Yes,
Can
I
the
will.
clerk send,
Yep, I'll do it tomorrow morning.
you walked off my pen last time. Don't walk off with that one.
So for clarity's sake, that means once that bond is posted, every item that's on that list of work to be done is covered by the virtue of the surety.
Once it comes,
But is covered, and as it is completed and items come off that list, we can request
Right.
release of a portion of the surety.
correct, with one caveat. It still has to come back to us
That's fine.
to establish, and if there's a sense of urgency, last week the chair scheduled an out-of-scope meeting or an out-of-cycle meeting,
Right.
which
To
we
be
can do
clear,
again.
I was not the one who canceled it. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Who did cancel it? I'd just like to know.
I don't know, and I don't really think it matters, but anyway.
It doesn't matter.
It's not
I know it
important.
We're
doesn't.
trying to get through this and move forward. That stuff
Not
doesn't
about
help.
pointing fingers.
Just,
I understand.
Do we want, if the select board were to approve the form of surety tomorrow night,
nope, next Tuesday.
next Tuesday, then we would still be in time for our next meeting on the,
Yep.
no,
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 No, we
can have a
wouldn't be.
meeting.
okay, we could,
we could
We could do a special meeting.
meet off-cycle, because that would be 2 weeks from tonight. That would not be enough time.
right.
So we can meet in between.
We can,
After the
we can meet
selectmen,
next Monday, which would be 7
the
days.
selectmen meet next
They
Tuesday.
meet Tuesday.
Oh, they meet
Could
next.
meet
Tuesday.
on Wednesday,
They could do it Wednesday, but we have to make sure we notify.
But
which has
then,
to go out.
Get it in the newspaper, notify the meeting.
No, we don't have, it's just publish
Publish
the
it.
agenda.
Right.
48-hour notice for that.
Okay. Make sure we're right.
That's what we did in the last
Right,
one.
it's not a
That's what
public
we-
hearing, so you don't need to.
We don't need notice.
Publicize it,
Correct.
right. So it's, you create an agenda, you have your meeting.
So
Agree?
can you cover Wednesday night? I don't know if this room's available or 20.
Probably not going to be available. Wednesdays are usually jam-packed.
Thursdays worked. The last time Thursday worked, right?
Did.
Thursday, you guys met before school committee, so you guys,
4:30, we were planning to meet at 4:30.
yeah, yes. So if you do that again, that will.
Okay,
Can
so
everybody
what's
make
that,
that meeting?
what's that date?
Virtually, I can, yes.
So Danny, we're trying our best to make it happen.
I understand.
I think it's the 19th.
I see 2040, but I hear perfect.
Can we make sure it gets on the selectmen's agenda?
Right.
We can't guarantee that. That's up to the select board.
That would be the 19th of September.
Oh, Jesus. That's right down to the wire, and that means I'm signing a contract on good faith with the DNC that this is going to happen.
That, okay, and just so we're clear, we could do all that. That doesn't mean that the Director of Inspectional Services is going to grant you a COA.
And that is? Paul Turner.
You're right. We have all the reasons to believe that he will. And under the worst set of circumstances, a temporary can still be issued
Yeah,
for,
but I'm only saying that's...
there's mechanisms
It's
to
not within our
get to-
control.
We
That's
can only
beyond our
control
control.
what we can control.
But there's a mechanism to get there,
Right. Yeah.
beyond the
Yeah,
control of the
We're
planning
doing
board.
everything we can.
Right.
As the board, there are some things beyond us that we can't do. But we're trying to do what we can do to make it happen. All right?
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Chair?
Are there any other actions? So I will wait for you to submit any mods that you want for...
Yeah, we
For the
disposed of the dumpster enclosure as a minor, as a minor thing. And the only mods that need to be thought about to proceed forward are associated with the landscaping.
Landscape
Agreed.
issues, yeah.
Correct.
And we don't not do anything. We do what we,
I'm sorry.
we're going to do what we need to do. We're not going to make any changes. If it's wrong, it's on us. You do what the plan says and what you give to Carl.
But we can't do what the plan says. There's no room to do it. If you guys come over, you will see what I'm telling
And
you
you
is true.
need to submit a modification. That's,
No,
right.
but the base is covered in the interim with the surety.
To do the other work.
To do
includes
the work
the
that's
whole-
shown in the plan right now that's
Yeah.
not desired to be done. But the base is covered. The surety is the protection, kind of honors the plan.
Yes.
Doesn't need to be constructed
Right.
today
Yes.
because the cash surety protects everybody.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
And if you
All
want to do
right, so
something...
we're talking the same language.
Yes, if he
When-
wants
but
to
when
do
do we
something
agree?
different, he's got to come back.
When do we agree that the foolishness of 100-foot, 140-foot tall trees with 40-foot wingspans, that, do I give you
Danny, that
100,000?
doesn't do any good right
Oh,
now.
we don't care about the trees, we told you that before. We need to put a little pine tree in there. We don't care about that.
This doesn't matter.
But that's not what the plan says.
No, no.
If I gotta follow the plan.
I don't know, Mr. Madden, what to say. Right now, you need to build what's on the plan. If you're not going to build what's on the plan, you need to come back and say, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
That's all we're asking.
That's what I
So
thought
we
were gonna
need
do
to, we
tonight.
need to come back with that plan to eliminate the berm that Danny wants to eliminate.
Right.
There's a beautiful area in the corner of that land that.
Nobody's saying that we shouldn't do that.
No, believe me, I understand it all very well. And, the protection is in place right now.
With
To get it done.
with this
Falling in
agreement.
place, To be in
Agreed.
place.
Yes. It's all, as long as we just get all the things in the right order, it's going to be fine.
And it's not
Except,
hard to do.
unfortunately, you have some timing issues.
That can be met.
But the timing issues have been mitigated with the surety.
Right.
Yep.
The last piece I'm going to speak on I've known this lady for a very, very long time. She came to me today. I'm gonna ask you to read it. I read very poorly because of vision. Either one, I don't think it reads it. And the lady is here tonight, she asked me would I bring it up. I can't do anything about that, I told her that.
For the record, Mr. Warren has handed me a letter dated September 9th, 2024, from Veronica and David McCusker, 80 Fox Hill Drive, Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Good evening, Wareham leaders and residents. We are David McCusker and Veronica McCusker, owners of 53 Main Street, Unit 110 of British Landing Condominiums. Recent construction of the large building surrounding the dumpster next door at Warren's Harbor View has inadvertently imposed significant impacts to our property and decreased the quality of life for our tenant, namely Marie McCusker. The new building has eliminated the only scenic view available to our unit, which used to observe the neighboring waterfront property, the Narrows, and the nearby Bessie Park. Additionally, the dumpster building decreases the perception of the personal safety by blocking existing light that illuminated the area. We are concerned that having a very large dumpster and restaurant waste, larger than a residential dumpster, will attract rodents and other pests to the condominiums and smell foul in hot weather, especially if it contains grease pit. We are looking forward to visiting Warren's Harbor View and are excited to have it next door. It is beautifully built. It is my understanding that Mr. Warren is from the area and has put a lot of love and attention into the details of the construction. I strongly urge you to consider our plea to modify the dumpster building and/or locations to mitigate negative impacts to the neighbors at British Landing. Thank you for your consideration. So the letter is part of the record, but as you know, Mr. Madden, this is really an issue for the zoning board because they're the ones who approved your plan, the plan, I'm not trying to be pejorative, the plan for the dumpster. So if you want to respond, the zoning board would need to review that design.
They approved the variance, not us.
Correct.
Well, it was approved. And
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, and we're not questioning that design at all.
The problem is, which I explained to my neighbor today, Eversource and National Grid set the rules on where those big transformers were gonna go, not us. And and by the way, their transformer had to go there. It's the only place it could go. That would have made it impossible to ever use a dumpster up in the front. So luckily, that's the way it has worked out.
And there's a cluster of 3 pretty large trees that are on the easterly side of where the dumpster enclosure is going to be. If there was just for the planning board's benefit, what I would think of is that perhaps some very soft soffit lighting in the little bit of the overhang that's on that shed roof on the back of the dumpster enclosure, perhaps a couple of 3.
Can't have electricity there, Bill.
What's that?
Can't have electricity there.
Solar, you could, maybe a solar.
They could be solar
That's
lights
what I
or
was saying, solar.
something that's very soft, and still meet the lighting requirements of the bylaw, no light trespass off-site.
Yeah, I don't know if that would then require a change to your variance, but we can put that off
Yeah,
until
the
you're
variance
ready.
was specifically property line setback issue, so I would say that it would not have anything to do with that variance. However, they would be very interested in knowing that we would be putting some lighting in, something, if we end up choosing to do that. But that would be somewhat of a solution.
Great.
They're meeting Wednesday, I believe.
They are meeting Wednesday, and they have a full agenda.
So this is not a public hearing, but if you'd like to speak, please come forward and state your name. This is not a public hearing, and we weren't planning on taking testimony tonight.
Well, I appreciate that.
Can you state your name and then just swear that whatever you're about to say is the truth?
My name is Marie McCusker.
So you're the author of this letter?
That is my granddaughter-in-law and my grandson,
Okay, great. Thank you.
the 2 McCuskers, that own my condo.
Great.
I
Is what you're about to say the truth, the whole truth? Just, you swear?
Yes.
Thank you.
Swear.
Thank you. Go ahead.
my condo is right beside the building. And since it's taken as long as it took to build the Taj Mahal, I've been watching this thing being built and being built. And it is a beautiful building. I've lived in this town for 50 years, and it's needed a beautiful building for a long time, and it is beautiful. And I sit in my chair in the evening. I recently lost my husband and lost 2 of my children, and I have no one. So I sit in the chair in the evening, and I look over at the building. I kid that I've seen every nail and every screw that went into that building.
And that's a fact.
Yes.
And I love her. Keep going.
You're not supposed to interrupt me, because then I lose my train of thought. So, every night, I sit down, I relax, I sit in my lounge chair, and I look out, and there's beautiful lights out there. And as a matter of fact, I know that the lights come on at 8 minutes past 8 in the evening. And I watch the lights come on, and it's beautiful. And I can see the building, I can see the front of the building, I can see people coming in and out all day long, and thinking when this is finally done, if it's ever gonna be done, that I will be able to look out and see brides coming in and out, because that's the type of place it's gonna be. I'm gonna see people coming in and out, having a wonderful time, smiling, having a great time. And I came home maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, did my usual and got in my chair. And I looked out, and it was pitch black. And all I could see was this big, horrible-looking structure that blocked all the light, blocked everything. All I can see is the roof, the very tip of the roof of the building, and not that it's done yet, but the roof of the pavilion for the trash. I don't understand why it has to be so huge. Why can't it?
Thank you, ma'am. This is not the right, we did not approve that plan. We didn't review that plan. The zoning,
Be changed.
the zoning board, the applicant needs to work with the zoning board of appeals to change the plan. They built what was approved. I'm not debating anything that you're saying at all. We're just not empowered to do anything about that. The zoning board of appeals is.
And can,
And they're meeting Wednesday night. It's not on the agenda, but I don't,
of course.
and you could submit, I don't,
Can we just change it?
we cannot.
No, not you.
We can't, we
We
can't tell you that you can.
But
Or
at
we
this
can't
point,
tell,
Approve it.
At this point, I can't change it either.
Well-
Conservation, historic, everybody down the line. And just for the sake of saying, the reason it's so big is because it's been made absolutely rodent-proof. They will take the dumpsters away daily, and it's not ever going to stink, and it's been very well planned out to not burden that neighborhood.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate
It's a
Ms.
beautiful-
McCusker's comment. We're not empowered to make that change.
I've lived in town 50 years, and I have to admit that this is the first time I've ever come to a meeting. And I am really horrified at what I've seen tonight.
It doesn't mean it can't change in the future. I know, I'm not, it doesn't mean it can't change in the future. We're trying to get it done.
Now I see why the town, as I say, I've been here 50 years. I love this town. I do not want to leave it. I raised my children here. And it was always a great town. Now I drive through the center of town. Everything's empty. Everything's falling apart. It looks horrible. There's an empty bank. We have 3 empty schools. We have a place where the elderly meet that there's stairs all over the place. It just seems to me that this town is just not paying attention to what's going on, letting just everything
There's
go.
a whole committee formed working on that right now.
Working hard. I'm working with those committees.
Yeah.
And
Very hard.
they're working with architects, they've gone on field trips, they have plans. It's in the works.
That's great, but
of
I haven't
changing.
seen anything, and I haven't read anything.
I'll tell you what, I will bring you with me.
Okay.
They are working hard.
All right.
And there's a lot of plans. And one of the things that I hope to do, and we're working with the state now, we want to turn that 7,000 square foot of dead space in that basement into a
Okay.
senior citizen hall.
We've gone way beyond,
I know.
I know what you're saying. But anyway.
Thank you for allowing me to.
yes.
Thank you.
And what we're trying to do as a board is to get the processes clearly communicated and followed.
We're gonna figure something out. You can go to work with me.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate your concerns. Do you have anything else to say, Mr.
Oh,
Madden?
no, for some reason I thought we were all set.
I think we've covered all the issues.
Just everything that, well,
Yes.
did we get everything on your list?
I think we got everything on the list.
Okay, well then, I think ours is covered then as well.
The next, thank you.
19th, we'll be meeting at
Josh, could you make sure Sonia posted a single item agenda to-
4:30 again, as we were doing before?
on the 19th to discuss the
4:30, some of us work.
Didn't we decide it was going to be Thursday, which is?
Thursday?
But we,
The-
right, Thursday
Yes, the
was the
20th.
19th. I think it was,
Correct?
did I get the date right?
Yeah, I think we were talking about Wednesday, but now I think
Yeah,
it's
the
Thursday.
19th is Thursday.
Yes.
The 19th is Thursday.
Oh, it is Thursday, okay, sorry.
And we did
Got it.
4:30 the last time so that we had an hour to meet before the
Crucial.
school committee.
And I don't think this meeting will take nearly
No,
a quarter of that amount of time.
If the select
no, it'll
board
be quick.
You're correct.
and we have for the Form J, we can,
Yes.
It can be done.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for your time, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being here.
Ken, I believe you're next on the agenda.
Yes, this is on the Affordable Housing Act that was recently passed by the state legislature and signed into law by the governor. Requires that all towns allow accessory dwelling units. So what we're doing is trying to get ahead of the game and get something in place so that we can have appropriate regulations for accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. And we have a draft that we're working on right now of the zoning bylaws, but since time is of the essence, it's not maybe appropriate that you schedule a hearing on the bylaw.
When would you like to do that?
Before October town meeting.
Yeah, but when do we have to have it done? So,
February 25th is the
February.
effective date. Right.
no, when do you have to have,
We have to get this done before our town meeting.
yes,
Right.
which is October 28th.
Right.
Yep.
So looking at the calendar, you have the draft in front of you now. Your first meeting in October is actually Indigenous Peoples' Day, Columbus Day. So you really can't meet on that
And
day.
unfortunately, I've discovered that November 11th is Veterans Day, so we've got a whole bunch of problems with our calendar.
Okay. So we were hoping that you would have a special meeting for October 7th, the Monday before your normally scheduled meeting.
October 14th is Indigenous Peoples' Day?
Correct.
And then we need to fix the November 11th date for Fearing Hill. November 11th, can we do November 4th then? So,
I thought we were trying to do it before town meeting.
no, I was talking
This is
Fearing
for
Hill.
Fearing Hill.
Oh, okay.
Right. No.
Okay.
Yeah, before town meeting would be October 7th.
Okay, so I move that we hold a special, we reschedule the October 14th meeting to October, what date?
7th?
7th.
Okay.
Okay, and we have a public hearing on the ADU.
11th,
No,
for Ferry Hill.
oh, no, first get this one done. And then on November 7 from 11 is 4, so on November 4th, we do the public hearing for Fearing Hill.
Okay.
Okay, hey, we don't need to vote on that, right, Ken? That's just scheduling?
That's correct, just scheduling.
Okay, earlier you said Ferry Hill's on the 11th, you changed it to the 4th.
Yeah, because November 11th is a holiday.
And Ken, the
Veterans
draft
Day.
is in final form? You've circulated that?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
The bylaw, the draft that we're
Oh,
going to
the
look
bylaw
at
will be distributed with this week, yes,
this week? Okay, great, thank you. That was my question.
For the ADUs.
Yeah,
For the ADU.
for the ADUs, that's correct.
so look for it this week. Okay, thank you.
Now, we do have, when we get to you and Jane, the 7th, we have time to post a public hearing for the rules and regs.
Good.
Are you ready for that?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
You- For the 7th of October? Jane? I'm asking.
I think so.
So Josh, could you also then post a public hearing for the rules and regs on the 7th as well? And then we need to get something posted.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That takes care of that.
Yep.
Jennifer, don't run away. Even though the
Very
young,
patient.
For various reasons.
even though the citizen was horrified, this is not what they normally go like.
I was just telling her that our public, my association for my neighborhood is having similar issues, so
So,
I've been trained.
so are we done with your item? We can move on?
Yes, you did fine.
Thanks, Ken.
Ms. Carter, Kramer, Carter, can you come forward and address the board? I am making the recommendation that we request that Ms. Carter, Ms. Kramer, be appointed as our associate, but I need the board's support.
Agree.
So,
I'll make it simple. You can just go by Jennifer Carter. That's what I go by professionally.
okay, and that's what we'll have to, according
Yeah.
to the whole paperwork.
We'll just keep it simple and make it that way.
I thought you were wanted.
Well, that's my ex's last name, but I never changed it, so.
If you want to make a statement, and then I'll let the board.
So I am Jennifer Carter. I have lived here since 2015, and I have been kind of keeping a close eye on things and wondering if someday I might sit on one of these boards, and my name was dropped by somebody. And so that's how this came to be, and it seems like a good fit for me. I do have, I don't know if you've all seen my resume. I don't know if Michael saw it, but I do have many years of experience in North Carolina, working for the state there, doing wastewater, stormwater, industrial pretreatment, those issues there. And then here, I've been working with Mass DEP since I moved here in 2015, doing air quality, hazardous waste, toxic use, and underground storage tank inspections. So while my experience isn't directly related to land use per se, it touches on it all the time, as you can imagine. And once you know one set of regulations, environmental regulations, you can kind of learn any set of regulations. They're all kind of written the same way, same kind of boilerplate language. So I think I'll be able to help. I do have a learning curve, I'm sure, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
My question is, you listened to calling special meetings, kind of last minute, and are you comfortable with that, with your job, be able to balance, having been there, done that, and understand that that can be a challenge?
Yeah, that's something that I've had to do, is sit in special meetings. I'm not as much here, but in North Carolina, I did that more often, just to answer questions. So I've done that before. Yeah, so that won't be a first for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions other than that.
I think that you've got skills that none of us have, so
I hope
Yes.
so.
helpful.
But I think my learning curve is learning, Robert's rules and learning how meetings work and that sort of thing. So that you'll have to be patient with me on that and hold my hand as we go. So
Well, being an associate member is a good way to
yeah,
sort of step into that gradually.
Right, okay.
I got about 2 weeks of being an associate member, and then
So I'm looking for a motion of support or not.
I move that Jennifer Carter, AKA Jennifer Kramer, be appointed as an associate member.
We need to recommend it to the appointing.
Recommend.
Yeah, that's true, to the appointing authority, sorry,
Right.
I should have inserted that. That we communicate to the appointing authority that Jennifer be appointed as an associate member of the Wareham Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 thank you.
Thank you. I will send a letter to the appointing authority,
Thank you.
and we'll get your schedule.
Next week. That's probably gonna beat feet next week.
Okay, the next item is, the ZBA is hearing, has a hearing on Ferris Realty Corp., Cape Cod Gas, and a variance, and we've been asked if we have any comment. They're meeting on this Wednesday night, so if we have any comment, we need to send it over. I looked at it and really understand the application. I think Sam has a much better feel.
I have a lot of problems with it. I ran a business a couple doors down from this business. My biggest problem is I do not think there's enough land to support what the applicant wants to do. They want to count cars at the pumps, which is not allowed, and if they do that, we're going to have that as part of our bylaws. You'd be able to count cars at the pumps as parking, is what they want to do. They want to have a carryout. Again, I had a business a couple doors down in the summertime, looking at I did watch the hearing on WCTV, so I am familiar with what they were planning on doing, and I don't think they have enough property to do it. The carryout is going to back up. They're counting cars that are at the pumps, and the precedent is, what if a person comes in, makes a plan for 12 pumps? Are they going to count that as 12 parking spaces? I don't think they have enough parking to do the business they're planning on doing. I don't think they should count the cars at the pumps as parking. We've never done that, and I think it's skirting the law. And to repeat myself, their pickup window is going to interfere with the traffic flow of the entire project. It's going to back up. I've been there in the summer when it backs up 10, 12 cars, and that's quick service, 15 second at the window. My concern is I just do not think there's enough property to support this business.
So we need to enumerate those 3 bullet points and get it over to the, can you send me a quick email with those
I will.
bullet
I'll do it in the
points?
morning.
And then I'll send it over to Sonia, right? Sonia's collecting this input.
Just one other question. There seemed to be an issue with the Water Whiz Park, and there seemed to be some confusion around that. Did you feel there was anything concerning? There's a lot going on in that corner of the world, for sure.
Their landscaping is minimal.
Right.
Their In my opinion, they're using every square foot they can, which is what they want to do. I just don't think they have the land to do it. It's a congested area to begin with, and to the Waterways point, in the summertime, people from that business float into the entire area. The state put a blinking light there because they cross Cranberry Highway to go to McDonald's, to D'Angelo's when it was there, to Wendy's, to the package store. There are people all over the place. I think this one little thing is going to make it even worse. It's another place to run to. It's another place to have congestion. And I've been there when Waterways attendants had the munchies, and you have a line of countless number of people. I just don't think they have enough land to support what they want to do, given their location and given what they plan to do with that
If
location.
you give me those bullet points.
will.
Any other comments?
No, I agree with Sam 100%.
Okay, so we'll take,
In between the park and,
Yep.
you know, kids are going to be running back and
Seems
forth.
that way.
And like I said, that's a bad area.
Yeah,
okay, so
safety
we'll
concerns,
we'll
too.
take a vote of support in a moment. I have a couple of questions for Mr. Buckland. How many parking spaces are they proposing for this location?
I'm not sure.
It seems to me 9, which should trigger a site plan review special permit for the planning board.
That's correct, if it was 10.
I don't know the number, Carl, but it's far less than required.
All right, well, can we confirm? I think 9 is the trigger for us. I think they're looking for more than that, but it's hard to tell. Okay.
I don't know how many spaces are shown on the plan.
I couldn't figure it out because, as Sam said, the plan is showing parking at the pump.
They're counting that as parking spaces and people waiting to get to the pump. Are they going to count those as well? I mean, they had comments from people saying, oh, well, I park at the pump and run in and get a coffee. 7:52. Because there's...
Okay. All right, so one other question. Does the planning board has a requirement when we're doing site plan review special permit to give 21 days for other boards, and we were not given 21 days to respond to this before the hearing even started. We were not given notice or the opportunity to respond 21 days in advance. We notice other boards, town officials 21 days and give them 21 days to respond. We were not given 21 days to respond.
That may be an error in the processing of the plans. An general email is sent out with electronic plans, and when you get your notice of an application that's come in, you get it sent by email.
From Sonia, I got it last week. I do not get an automated notification, and I don't know. I got a notice last week from Sonia requesting comment.
The process is changing right now on the notification and the responses, because as we put it into viewpoint, there'll be a different notification process that you'll see coming out of this.
So my question, though, is they're subject to Article 15, which says we get 21 days.
And quite frankly, Ken, when I got the email, I thought I was to respond to that email with my comments, and I tried, and that wasn't the case. It was this evening, and that was on me.
All right, well, we'll get the response in, but if we could work to improve notification so that we get adequate notification of every site plan review special permit. And then my other question is, can we confirm that the right board is hearing this permit depending on how many parking spaces they have.
Yes, we can confirm that as well.
Thank you.
This is based on a letter from the letter of denial from the building commissioner.
I understand
That's
that.
which way these go.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that, Carl. I mean, Ken. Yeah.
So just a process question. It's not, we're not going to stop anything, even though notwithstanding earlier applicants, we need to do the process the right way. And the planning board is not being obstructionist, notwithstanding comments that are made in public by town officials. So I need a motion to send a letter to the ZBA. Or not a letter, but we'll send a notice.
Notification, yep.
Second?
Second.
And I'll actually send it to Sonia. So Sam will help me put that together.
Are we gonna vote on that?
Oh, sorry? I didn't hear what you said.
We gonna vote on that motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a motion and a second. Thank you for keeping me honest.
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Next item, Josh. Can you give us an update on finding, I think we got 3, right?
Yeah, I think as of when I left the office, you gave them till the end of business today.
Yep.
I left the office about 4 p.m. this afternoon. If there are any that came in after that, I'll be sure to forward them to you, but
All right, so can we send those to the board for review? We do have a copy of Ms. Morton's submission.
yep.
But I think the next step then should be that we distribute so the planning board can just see the raw material. The next step would be to synthesize that into a single document where we integrate all of them, so we don't have to, we have a single document. Some of the items that I submitted, the content is fine, the form, I need to remove some things where I said the board finds. I was getting ahead of myself, which is, we need to find that, but we haven't found it yet. Or we need to not find it, either way. So what I would have normally said, I'll volunteer to help synthesize. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to work with the town anymore. I don't need to be castigated by town officials or applicants.
Okay.
I now, having said that, Josh, if you want to work, I'll come help you. I'm tired of being castigated by town officials. The chair of the select board especially.
Jeez. Welcome to Wareham, Kyle.
I don't need that. I have a life.
Okay,
So you're
No, it's not okay. I have not gotten over it yet.
okay.
I understand.
So your deadline for findings of facts was close of business today?
Today, yes.
When would you like to see these merged into a document that the,
When can we,
Meeting.
when can we sit down and do that?
well, I know you sent out the schedule of when,
We're going to hear this on the 23rd, so we need, and
I can have that document finalized by,
do you need my help? Do you need-
no, well, you have the 3, so you already have an idea of what to expect.
Right, and
Right,
we
it's
need
gonna
to
be a
just-
combination of the 3.
Yeah, we just need to organize them so statements that are
Synthesis
similar.
of those.
So if you all can look at the 3 documents and kind of have an idea of what's gonna come in front of you, I can have a finalized document ready for you to actually make a determination of the facts for your 23rd, September 23rd hearing. I can't tell you I'm gonna have it a week from now,
Okay.
but you'll have it ready for the 23rd.
You want my help, or you're going to tackle it?
I'll tackle it. Just, I'm taking the end of this week off and the beginning of next week off, so You'll have it by the 23rd. I just can't tell you you're gonna have it by Thursday. I can't do it. But you'll have it by the 23rd, I can tell you that.
And if we're looking through this stuff anyway,
Right, you're already gonna know
right.
the
Yeah, we're
general
not
idea of.
I don't think we need to delete anything. We need to reformat my findings to
Right.
remove where I,
Probably
You want
duplicates
duplicates to be combined,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, if there's something that sounds vaguely familiar, to combine those. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
I know what you're looking for.
okay, then the plan would be on the 23rd. We review the document and we need to vote on each finding. And we either need to, the board confirms or the board doesn't confirm this finding.
so this is on 9/23.
23, yes.
23? Okay.
And we have to finalize this with the clerk by October 16th. We have 65 days from August 12th.
So, you know, if it comes to the point where you're not ready to do something on the 23rd,
We still have the
you
7th.
have you have a few light meetings between now and then.
Well, the only one would be the 7th.
Yeah, guess you're right, yeah. 7th is your only one. It's a light meeting as of right now.
And and theoretically, given as we gone through the schedule of applications, there shouldn't be anything scheduled between now and then. If we begin following our planning schedule, new applications, now A&Rs, different matter, but public hearings, special permit, site plans, subdivisions, we'll be able to plan those. Okay, next item. Just, Josh, an update on the solar bonds? I think that,
Letters have been sent, we're waiting for responses.
okay, can we post or file, can I see copies, or can we post
Yep,
copies?
I'll
Or
forward them to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
And same thing for the Phase 2 release of funds. So the actual posting of the bond that was required. We sent the letter stating, you know, we haven't seen this submitted yet.
and, well, and right now, what's going on with Phase 1? We still haven't seen the bond for Phase 1 either.
Right, right. So the letter that we sent addresses that item, and I can get a copy of
But
that.
he's still moving ahead like, okay. He's ignoring us, just like, all right. Any member business?
We reviewed a letter that I wrote to the building commissioner regarding the Walmart site last meeting, 2 weeks ago. And Ken had suggested that it be run by town council, and I realized that we didn't really figure out how that was gonna happen. So I'm not sure if it has happened or not, so just following up on that.
No, it hasn't happened yet. Town council is in on Wednesday this week, though, so if you get a copy over to me, I can get it to them to review as well, too.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Why would there be a question?
I don't know, it was
It-
suggested that it be run by him, and I had a question because it was really the ZBA that looked at that, well, no, it was both boards, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're saying they're in
We
violation.
visited the site and noticed this, and we're asking for his opinion.
Potential violation.
Yes. He's the only one who can determine if there's a violation. We can only say we have concerns. Right? I mean, that's... Mike, anything? So you'll send that to Ken, and we'll be done with that, right? Jane?
Yeah, yep.
Mike, anything else? No. Jane, any other comments?
Actually, Ken, if you look at your email from 8/26, I sent it to everybody then.
All right, I'll get that out.
Okay.
Anything else? Just, I'll look for your email in the morning, I'll send it over to Sonia
And I'll send out the email to the selectmen.
about the bond.
Yeah.
No, surety, form of surety. Surety, not the bond.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 8:05.